Imagine 20 fully loaded 747s crashing every single day for a year. That's how many people die of AIDS. More than 33 million people are living with AIDS today, and more than 43 million have already perished. AIDS is the biggest health problem the world has ever faced. So what can be done about HIV/AIDS? I'm Mal Fletcher, and this is Edges. HIV and AIDS are closely related, but they're not exactly the same thing. HIV doesn't kill directly, but it destroys the body's natural defences against other forms of disease. AIDS is actually the last stage in the illness that comes on the back of HIV infection, when the body's so weakened by HIV that it can't fight off secondary infections like pneumonia or tuberculosis. Today we're in the south of London, which has the highest rate of HIV infection for the UK. One of the things that makes HIV such a threat is that a person can be infected for months or even years before they contract full-blown AIDS, without even knowing it. The virus secretly attacks their T cells, the cells that normally defend us against viruses and bacteria, and all the while they remain infectious. When a disease reaches pandemic proportions, it doesn't just influence individual lives, that's bad enough. It also destroys the infrastructure of entire nations. Southern Africa today has one of the highest rates of HIV infection in the world. Some experts believe that by the year 2020, the disease might have wiped out as many as 1/5 of all its agricultural workers. So AIDS can cripple entire economies as well.
So we're still waiting for improved treatments for HIV and AIDS. More than that, do people believe that one day we'll find a cure for them? I'm here to find out. Excuse me, sir, can I just ask you, do you think they're going to find a cure for AIDS?
Yeah, I'm sure they will, because I'm a doctor.
Oh, good.
Hope so very much, and I'm sure they will one day, but it depends how long in the future it's going to be.
I think it's just a case of financing it, money. Throw money at something and it'll go away.
I personally think they'll probably find a cure to everything, but it's a question of when.
Hopefully, but maybe not in my lifetime.
I don't think anytime soon, to be quite honest, but maybe in the foreseeable future.
I don't think it'll happen in the near future, an actual cure, but I understand now there are treatments available where people can basically live a long life.
The majority of people we've spoken to today do believe they're going to find a cure for AIDS, but they're not sure how long it'll take and whether it will be in their lifetime.
Wherever you live in the world, children are our most precious resource. They're our future. But more than 3 million children are living with HIV/AIDS today. In poorer countries, many of the women who are infected with HIV have caught it from their husbands, and they don't even know they have it until they give birth to a sick child. And even if the child isn't infected, once they lose one parent to AIDS, they're already considered an orphan, because when one parent dies, the other is almost always infected or dying. Many of the millions of children who are orphaned by AIDS every year end up in the care of brothers and sisters who are often not much older than they are. But some will find themselves forced into guerrilla armies or prostitution rackets or other forms of slavery. It's heartbreaking. The fight against AIDS is also a war on crime. 1 million children a year are forced into the international sex trade. And of course these kids become the most vulnerable to catching and passing on HIV/AIDS. So while we try to reduce the number of children who are exposed to HIV/AIDS through better sex education, healthcare and so on, we also need to go after the child exploiters who feed off the misery of others. AIDS is also a women's rights issue, especially in those cultures where women have very little protection under the law. In some of these cultures, women have very little to look forward to, aside from getting married and then keeping their husbands happy. And if they should ask their husbands to wear a condom, they may be beaten. And they're expected to take it quietly, because that is the husband's right. So the fight against HIV/AIDS needs to be fought on many fronts at once: medical, economic, political, cultural and criminal. And wherever you live in the world, this is a problem in your backyard, especially among the poor. Globalism, tourism, migration have all killed off the idea that some countries might actually be safe from HIV/AIDS. There are no safe countries anymore.